Hey, have you heard about that Black Panther sequel? There's a little bit of an issue there. Is that Black Panther, the actor, is not alive. And, well, where do you go from here? The trailer for Wakanda Forever came out. It dropped at Comic Con. We all watched it. And there's a little bit of a, as you've mentioned here, a little bit of a movement to recast T'Challa. Before we get into that discussion, what thoughts on the trailer? What did you guys think?
Dan?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say ladies first. So, because you saw it more recently, Catriona, I'll let you lead off with that.
Okay, well, yes, I just saw it very recently. So it's okay, so I definitely felt a bit of emotion because I was really sad when Chadwick Boseman died. I I don't really know what else to say beyond that. I mean, it was just nice to see the elements of that. I don't know. I have nothing. Andrew,
Sure, let
just
me.
take over.
I will tell you, boy, I watched that teaser and I'm teased, man. Honestly, beautiful shots. It looks gorgeous. Every single one of those shots, I'm like, this is a high production value movie. And if that's enough to get you in the seat, it probably will be for me. I'm probably gonna go see it. I don't know what you do with the story without the actor. We'll see. And I didn't get a ton of clues about what's actually happening in the movie, but you know, they made it. It's gonna happen. We're gonna see it. I I don't know. I'm a little apprehensive. For me, because the whole MCU is about continuity, I think it would be a bad move to recast. I think probably better to just finish out the story and let it be hinted at in other stories because you can keep him alive, like we said, in the suit where like we don't see his face. That could be anybody. And voice actors constantly get the job to sound like the actor who used to play him. Like very easy to keep the original Black Panther alive, even if Chadwick Boseman isn't.
Well, but
Who
then
do you
you
think
run
they
into
did?
the issue in the movie. He's also become the first movie. He becomes King T'Challa. He becomes the king of Wakanda. So how do you deal with that part type of
Well,
character?
you could also deep fake him like you did with Luke Skywalker, couldn't you? It's not.
I
I mean, I
just
guess you could. The comparison would be Paul Walker from Fast and Furious movies. Like they
Mhm.
had to finish Furious 7 without him. So they brought in his brothers, and they were able to kind of get some footage from the previous movies and kind of stitch it together. And even in that movie franchise, they sort of like ended that movie with like Paul Walker's character Brian is sort of just off and doing his own thing now, but he's not part of the movies. Like he's not part of
Mm.
their adventures with the rest of the team. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
there's.
I'm gonna refrain from using the word because I don't want to have to divert. Anyway, we have this running gag.
That's
Anyway,
fine.
I digress. What I was gonna say is I love the trailer. I think the trailer looks as you guys said, it looks beautiful. Ryan Coogler is a fantastic filmmaker. Like you could pause almost every frame of this trailer and just
Yeah,
frame
art.
like to take it, put it up on your wall. It looks fantastic. They introduced Namor, the Submariner, who is actually, fun fact, the very first superhero ever to appear in a Marvel comic. He appeared in Marvel Comics #1 back in
Wow,
1939, and they're adapting him to the screen for the first time ever now, at least in the
that's neat.
MCU.
Yeah, that's
So he's like in a manner of speaking Marvel's Aquaman, although he's a few years older than Aquaman. Some people, the running joke usually is, wait, Marvel had Aquaman on the table as a name, and they went with Namor? But whatever. The point is, in this movie, it looks like they're gonna adapt a storyline where the Atlanteans, or apparently he's not from Atlantis in the MCU. Namor is he's the king of another empire, and they're leaning more into the Aztec heritage So instead of being Atlantean, he's going to be more of an Aztec king. But his empire is going to war with Wakanda. That's kind of the. So hopefully that puts in context a lot of like what's happening in the trailer, the action.
Yeah, that
And
does.
they do show the shots of the funeral, which the implication is that they're showing the funeral of T'Challa. So
Right.
that's how they address Chadwick Boseman's character
Well,
in
I
the
think
movie.
then they've sort of answered the question of whether or not they'll recast him, haven't they?
Well, they announced, so Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler announced that a few years ago when Chadwick Boseman passed away. A short while after, they said we're not going to recast him. You know, we can't imagine anybody else playing T'Challa. Chadwick Boseman is
Right.
our T'Challa, and so they were like, we're going to move on, and so that's why in the movie it looks like the character
I
of
think
T'Challa has also passed away. I don't know if
that's
they're
the
going to
most
show or
that's the most
how,
tasteful way
or
to
if it's
do
off
this, I think.
screen, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Because if you fall into the trap of deep faking him or resurrecting him with movie magic, so you're it's still a pretty fresh wound in the
Yeah.
collective consciousness. And I think to show some respect, you pay a tribute in the movie, and you you keep you keep the continuity.
Yeah, but the movement, so right now, I mean, what triggered us doing this whole segment was there's this movement on social media, this hashtag recast T'Challa, that actually has been around for a few years, from right from when they first made the announcement that they weren't going to recast T'Challa. And now that the new trailer has come out, the first teaser trailer for this movie, which, you know, it's been shot, the movie was in the can a long time ago. They're now at this point basically going to release it in a few months' time. But because the new trailer came out, it's in the headlines. This movement has picked up steam again, and there's a it seems like a vocal minority that's still trying to like push the idea of they should continue the character of T'Challa. He's too important, and there's way too many comic book stories that they could adapt, and he's too important to the overall MCU that they should not just kill the character off. They should have somebody else step into the character to honor the memory of Chadwick Boseman,
Well,
versus
then again,
moving on.
what I
know?
would say is, if you need him in a battle, put someone else in the suit, but it's a bad move. It's a bad move.
I mean, I can sort of understand both sides of the argument, right? I mean, like, okay, so I'll ask you, Catriona, like, if you were in Kevin Feige's shoes, and you had two options essentially, you could do what like they do with the James Bond character, what they've done with Batman over the years, like where they would just recast, or like in the best comparison to make would be in the MCU when they recast Rhodey in Iron Man 2. So he was played
Mm-hmm.
by
Right. I was
um,
thinking about that.
so I'm forgetting the actor's name. He was played by a different actor in the first Iron Man movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then Don Cheadle comes and takes over in Iron Man 2. And
Right.
they sort of reference it in the movie itself. He's like, all right, I'm here. Let's move on. Like they just like kind of,
Right.
played it off that way. They could have done maybe not the same thing, but something similar. Obviously, in this case, the previous actor did not pass away who played War Machine.
Right.
But you either can do that, or you can do what they decided to do, which is we're just gonna write off the character of T'Challa in the movies. He died in the world of the MCU, much like Chadwick Boseman passed away in real life. Tragic situation, but we then weave like the element of like grief and because people in the real world are grieving too, the loss of a great actor, somebody who represents a lot to a lot of people, and now they're weaving that into the story of the film, and the world of Wakanda is grieving too.
Right.
So do you go that route, or would you have rather recast T'Challa, like the movement on social media right now wants them to do?
Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's like you want to be respectful to Chadwick Boseman, and you want to be respectful to the fact that you don't just want to like just to kind of pretend that you could even replace him at all. But then there's the other side of it too, where it's like you had Black Panther finally for so many people who looked up to this character. And then he just by chance the actor dies, and then it's like all those people who he was his favorite character, he was their favorite character and everything, and specifically for diversity and everything, it was like finally we had like an awesome Black character, and then what do? You just move on, and then it's like, well, never mind, we don't actually have that anymore. Sorry guys, sorry everyone who loved this character. It's just, I don't know. It's a really weird position to be in, because it's like, which version is more disrespectful, you know?
I mean, would you say it's a no-win situation? It's sort of it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it definitely feels like that's sort of like the position Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler were put in, because not to
Yeah,
mention the fact that you work with this person for months, years, even like he was in several Marvel movies before he passed away, so somebody who you know as a close friend and as a colleague that you're grieving the death of, and then on top of that to have to make a decision like this, it's on its
You
own, it's
know,
a hard decision to make, to
can I
add all that
propose a
emotion to it.
solution?
Yeah.
This is the brand that has really rammed the idea of a multiverse down our throats. Perhaps the MCU is one version of this multiverse where Black Panther has actually died. Maybe we don't have to go by the actual canon anymore because they've skipped plenty of things and glossed things and combined characters into, or just erased others because others would be more popular. Like, this wouldn't be the first inconsistency with the official Marvel canon.
That's a fair point. I mean, they could totally do that, right? Like they could just say the 616 Earth Black Panther passed away, played by Chadwick Boseman, but all of a sudden they can bring in somebody who's from some other, version of the multiverse, like another
That would be
yeah,
universe.
that's
such
what
a
I
cheap
thought. Yeah.
move, and God, if they do that, I'm gonna be upset.
So
I
let
mean,
me
I
let
think
me
that would
ask
be the
this.
most respectful solution, though. What were you gonna say, Dan?
No, no, I think it could work. I mean, I think again they have to do it in a tasteful manner if
Yeah.
they were to do that. But let me ask you this question. So if you watch that Wakanda Forever trailer, there's a shot at the end of the trailer that very specifically shows you a profile of a Black Panther. Right? We don't know who's in the suit, but and that's really the question is
Isn't it his
who's in this
sister?
suit?
I swear it was his sister, right? I thought she was gonna take over.
I mean, so,
Am I
It's
so
wrong?
let me
it's
ask you guys.
unclear what we're looking at here.
Does this so okay, so because the people are speculating, I don't know, does that look like do those look like a man's hips, or are there is that because that's like because you're trying to figure out like what is that, a man or a woman? Because there's a few candidates. You could be M'Baku, could be that who was in the first movie played by is it Vincent Duke, I think his name. He was in Us from Jordan Peele. People are thinking it could be Shuri, who is sister of T'Challa, played by Letitia Wright, or it could be Michael B. Jordan coming back as Killmonger. And then if you watch the first Black Panther movie, Michael B. Jordan's Black Panther suit, because he's temporarily becomes the king of Wakanda in that movie, his suit has those gold accents, which is what this character does here.
Well,
So which is it?
it's too ambiguous at this point.
Which is on purpose, of course. But
Yeah,
if you had to
yeah.
guess, which I mean, everything that we've just talked about,
I
and
mean,
now you're thinking, where do
maybe
you take? Because you can say the
if we're gonna
T'Challa
if
character
we're
is done, and like he passed away in the movie too, but the
if we're
character
gonna
of Black
follow,
Panther, who, has to continue. Somebody has to take on the suit. So who
yeah,
would that be?
if we're gonna follow this idea that, like, Black Panther was a lot of people's hero. Maybe this is somebody young within the Wakanda tribe that's like paying tribute to him and living life as T'Challa, as Black Panther, because he looked up to him. Maybe that's where we get that sort of aspirational um, relationship with characters in the movie.
I have a
Nobody
feeling they're
has
gonna
told me that
go.
before, but I really like that idea.
That's
Nobody's
that's what
mentioned
I
that
would
to
do.
me.
That's what I would do.
I just have a feeling they're gonna go kind of a feminist route. I can say that
They
as a
could.
woman.
They could. They
I think
absolutely
they're
Oh
gonna
no,
could.
I
push
mean I
that
wouldn't
really
mind that.
hard.
I mean, so
Well, let's
Lupita
see.
Nyong'o plays what's her Nakia, who was the love
Hmm.
interest of Black Panther T'Challa in the first movie. I think
Hmm.
she'd be a fantastic Black Panther. In fact, at one point in the movie, when they believed T'Challa to be dead in that film, his mother like almost implores Nakia's character to take on the mantle, and then they find out that T'Challa is alive. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
wouldn't
nothing in the
mind.
rule book that says it's Black Manther.
What?
Bad pun.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't get that reference, but I have no idea what you just referenced there.
Wouldn't have to be a man.
Okay. I see what you're saying. All right. Totally went over my head. But
Sorry, it's not a good
yeah.
joke.
I mean, okay, so to kind of wrap up our conversation here, the question was this: should Marvel recast T'Challa? I mean, do you guys think there's a definitive response? Like,
I'm always
Well,
going to be on the side of no. I don't think they should.
so wait, he said, or his brother said that he would have wanted them to do it. I mean, like,
I think so. I think his
vaguely
brother
okay.
was asked in an interview, and he said Chadwick would have wanted them to recast the character and keep going with T'Challa, somebody else in the role. I don't know if we ever heard from Chadwick Boseman about something like that, because he largely, his fight with cancer, he kept that pretty private. I mean, that was one of
Yeah.
the shocking things when he passed
Right.
away. People were like, what? He had cancer, and it was like something he had been
Right.
struggling with for years.
Right.
So I don't think he was making any public statements about like who would I want to continue in the role if and when I pass away. But it is interesting. His brother said, they should have recast him, which I guess that's in favor of that one direction, whereas the other direction is what they're going with. I personally think it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I love the trailer for this movie, the teaser trailer. I'm excited to see where they take it next. If they do
Yeah.
it tastefully, I think they could have gone in either direction. So I'll trust Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler, who are both fantastic at their jobs, and hope that they've made the right decision. Because I mean, it's not like I can. It's not like I can all of a sudden implore them or convince them to do otherwise, right? So you just
Yeah.
hope that they're doing the best that they can. And the trailer is I think it's a harbinger for good things to come, because like you guys agreed, it looks fantastic. This movie looks great.
Absolutely. Well, we have a few months to look forward to this. Wakanda Forever releases November 11th. That's a few months away, but we'll be back to talk about it. We'll probably all go see it, and we'll be
yeah.
surprised. We'll follow up with this segment later. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Be our friend. Hit the subscribe button. It's around here somewhere. There, you found it. Click on it and find us. We're on Instagram and Spotify and Twitter and Twitch and all the places. Be our friend. We're friendly people.